Hello wine lovers and the wine curious. I have been in Chile drinking some absolutely epic wines, checking out some amazing wineries and talking with some fabulous winemakers. And I thought to myself, this is a great place for a 10-minute tasting. So this is your 10-minute tasting all about wines to warm your heart. I have 4 great wines, all from Chile. I'm gonna tell you how they taste and why you should give them a try directly from Chile. This is your 10-minute tasting. This is the Leyda Coastal Vineyards Las Brisas Pinot Noir coming from the Valle de Leyda right here in Chile. I have been really enjoying this wine over the last couple of hours and tasting it with winemaker Viviana Navarrete right here in this vineyard. But let's get into the bottle ourselves. We have a glass already poured. So for the color, beautiful raspberry toned. I could see my hand right through the glass. Las Brisas means sea breezes, and that's what we're really getting. You can see it running through my hair. And it's translating into the wine. Get this saltiness, little bit of strawberry and cherry in there. Touches of herbal and twiggy notes, but also a little bit of almost that salted black licorice. Let's get onto the palate. On the palate, this wine is so juicy. While there's these really lovely tannins that kind of tie everything together, they almost tingle across the palate with their minerality, brightness of acidity, little bit of earthiness and spiciness, but it's the juiciness. It almost feels like you're biting into a fresh cluster of Pinot Noir grapes. This is a wine that I would enjoy on a day like this, or even a red for some seafood. This is the Leyda La 8 Syrah, my second wine coming from this exact same region, also made by Viviana. Let's give this a try. You know, Syrah is really great because you get a lot of perspective with it when you grow on these hilly vineyards and you grow it close to the ocean. The vineyard for this wine is only 12 kilometers away from the Pacific. Getting into the color, it is so deeply colored, I cannot see my hand through it. Almost a purple hued and toned wine overall, but let's get into the aromas. Violet, blue fruits, a little bit of salty oliviness in there. At the same time, we really get this kind of like charcoaly toasted vibe. But there's a relaxed notion to this wine. I know that she does a lot of concrete aging, and I really feel like this wine kind of takes the shoulders out of Syrah in a great way. You get to relax with it. Let's get onto the palate. I love a Syrah that just grabs you. That's what this grape is known for, and that's exactly what this is doing. You have tannins that literally wrap around the tongue like vines, and they're not drying, so to speak. They have this immense vibrancy, which is what this region is known for. There's also a ton of acidity, which makes me salivate a lot and slip up my words a little bit, but that only means that I'm gonna be going back in for another sip because this finish is absolutely fabulous. This is a wine that you can have with almost fattier meats, definitely in a barbecue situation. I would put this with either pork or lamb. If that's not your vibe, maybe a mushroom burger. This is the Viña San Pedro 1865 Selected Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon Las Pedras from the Valle de Maipo right here in Chile. This wine is really widely available, and I love that because it's coming from gravelly soils. You really get a unique perspective of the Maipo terroir and what 1865 is really showcasing within that, and it's all 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. So let's get into this bottle. There we go, already have a glass poured and good. So getting right into the color, we're just jumping in. This is a boldly ruby toned wine. If you like one of those opaque colored wines, this is definitely for you. And you know what I love is that I'm diving into a 100% varietal wine and focusing on Cabernet because I get earthiness and fruit and tobacco right away, and that's the vibe. Lots of like blackberry and black plum notes, little bit of kind of sun-soaked fruit, but also like sun-drenched tomatoes, earthy, dark, like tilled soil, tobacco, little bit of vanilla and toasted perspective in there. This is quite a unique wine, and the best part about it is that it's showing what one varietal can do in one place. Let's get onto the palate. On the palate, Cabernet Sauvignon has this way of just grabbing you. And I love this one. You have tannins that almost reach right to the back of your tongue. They seem to scrape all of that fattiness of that nice bite of steak or even creamy pasta right off of there. That's the best part about this wine. But it comes in right after with some beautiful acidity, spice notes, and just a touch of dried fruit. This is a food wine through and through. I cannot think about drinking this wine without having something great to eat next to it. And I'd highly recommend it to be something with a little bit of fattiness, a little bit of creaminess, and tons of texture. This is the Vineyard Gran Reserva Cabernet Sauvignon from the Valley di Maipo. And yes, you heard me correctly. We are in the exact same valley as our previous wine, but this is a little bit different. We have 12 months of oak aging on here. This wine is very much done in barrel because it's a Gran Reserva. We also have a diverse blend of different blocks, another way of saying vineyards, within the Valley di Maipo. Now, Chile is really cool because you have all of these different ways of showcasing a region, from coastal all the way into the Andes. So let's dive into this wine and see what it's all about. Got my glass already poured, and you can already see the difference based on the color. It's ruby toned with a violet edge. That's more like the Syrah that we had before, even though this is a Cabernet Sauvignon. Let's get into the aromas. Ah, see, this is where we get the difference. There's a little bit more of this like ironitic, very badass quality to things. You really get this whole I'm wearing a leather jacket vibe when you smell this wine. Lots of dried fruit in there, lots of spiciness right out the gate. Lower on the floral tones, but definitely more vanilla and mocha notes, which is really so cool. And I love that it's showing Maipo in that way. Let's get on to the palate. On the palate, Cabernet Sauvignon does have that streaking tannic vibe. We get this almost stacking and building of dryness and vibrancy across the tongue, but there's a lot of texture in this. This is not a very drying tongue Cabernet Sauvignon. It's almost juicy in its quality. This means that this is a Cabernet Sauvignon that could go with a lot more vegetable dishes. I'd be pairing this with a nice eggplant parmigiana, or even bringing it to a moussaka dish, because I think that would be lovely. But you can also lean into those spice notes and those fruit notes of this wine and go with something a little bit bolder, with a bit more spice too. Wine lovers, these have been 4 great wines to warm your heart. You can think about these for Valentine's Day or actually any other day of the year. Who doesn't need a little bit of heartwarming from time to time, especially when you're looking at these wonderful views in Chile and exploring their terroir, their tenacity, and their just fabulous winemaking within the glass. Cheers.